Hey, this is Jason, aka Samaroni, and I am recording this July 11th, so I figured, you know what? While horror game season 2026 is around the corner, let's take an opportunity to talk about it. And for those who is watching on the Samaroni Extra channel, if you want to tune into the streams, I usually stream on my main channel, which is Samaroni, no underscore. It is just Samaroni by itself, and on twitch.tv/Samaroni underscore YT. And I will say this much, it is contained for mature audiences, so if you are under the age of 18, please do not tune into my streams. Other than that, that's all that I have to say. Which, I ain't gonna lie, the red lighting honestly looks good. First things first, let's talk about horror game season. So, for starters, we have when it starts versus when it will end. So, I know what you're curious about. What is horror game season? So, if there's long period points to where it's going to take a while to read, you have the option to pause so that you have the time to read it. So, to keep things short and simple on my end, it is an event to where I play horror games and sandbox horror maps for the Halloween season. Everything else, I'm sure that you can read. What events could we expect? I'm glad you asked. So, this is what I would say is the biggest event for me personally because you you can never go wrong with celebrating your birthday with your community as a content creator. Whether or not if it is before, after, or during the day of is a whole other question on its own. And my age is on display. I am open about that information. I turn 22 next month. And here is the goals that are in mind. Highlights, extra, and shorts is optional the for everything else, but for all the channels plus the Twitch goals, that's a challenge, but I'm willing to accept. So for let's start off with YouTube. For all the channels, I do want to try to get to 1,000 subs. And for both my main and my IRL channel, which my IRL channel was displayed by handle in the beginning, I do want to try to get YouTube partner for them. For the main channel, it is so that I pretty much have a source of earning money similarly to how I can earn money with Twitch. And as for Twitch coming to mention it, push for partner is 100% optional. I don't expect to get it, but it'd be a welcome surprise if I do. 1,000 follows, 50 Twitch subs, and 1,000 bits is what my goal is for Twitch. And for the rest of my socials, it's just follower based, with the exception of Discord, because I do want to try to grow the buddies community, not just for myself, also for the other members of the group. So for Instagram, I do want to try to get to 250, 300 on Blue Sky, 100 on Gamer Profiles and Low Light. And for Discord, I do want to try to get the buddy server to 200 members and at least 100 for the All Things Nerdy podcast community. Would I expect to get all of these goals? No. Would I want to achieve at least one of these goals? If I am consistent, then yes, because consistency is key if I want to achieve these goals in question. And here's where the fun begins. Now that you have an understanding of the concept, plus what my goals are for the season. Gaming community nights. Golf with your friends is going to be July 29th. And we are also going to be playing Fall Guys August 18th. And Dead by Daylight is going to be September 9th. And we're going to be having a VR chat community night October 7th. Now let's talk about the watch-alongs for horror game season cinema, which the concept is that there are horror movies that we would watch, but it is on Discord because of copyright reasons. So I usually prefer to do a Discord watch-along if I was to watch a movie or a show. Playing a game is a whole other question on its own, depending on the game in question. Anyways, July 20th, we're going to be watching Ghostbusters. And then Five Nights at Freddy's, August 17th, which y'all are too fucking generous on the idea. John Carpenter's The Thing, and Terrifier, which Terrifier is October 19th, and The Thing is September 14th. And it is displayed that The Nightmare Before Christmas has been a tradition since 2024, every October 16th. And before you say anything, it is both Halloween and Christmas, so if you try to convince me otherwise, good luck trying. Because you are not going to win that debate if you try to convince me otherwise. And these are the rules of the VR chat Halloween party. And of course, when it comes to the specific rule that's for other content creators, that one is because I don't want too much chaos going on. And as for another one that I would want to throw in there, keep TOS in mind. That's all that I will say. Keep TOS in mind for both YouTube and Twitch. Stream events. July 16th would make it 2 years of multi streaming, and then the 31st will make it 5 years of streaming on Twitch, and then August 18th would be my birthday stream. And whether or not, and I can neither confirm nor deny if I will do a 12-hour or a 24-hour, so it depends on whether or not if my PC can handle it and what games in question that I will be playing. And Drunk by Daylight is a possibility because I'm not 100% sure if it'll happen, but if it does, then we're pretty much set. If not, then I have a plan B. Every Tuesday and Thursday for September and October is going to be the horror game season marathon. Which, this is what's in my mind if we do 24 hours. Again, I can neither confirm nor deny. And I'm pretty much on a hiatus from Dead by Daylight because it crashed 3 times from when I was playing with Icy Lights. So this may be subject to change. But as for everything else, I'm pretty much on board with it. It's just more so of who else would be on board is the real question. And what's in my mind for a birthday stream. a to be announced collaboration, which would be 3 hours long. I don't know why I had my finger up. 3 hours long, and then a 3 hour community night for Fall Guys, and then a horror game of and then a horror game of chat's choosing for 2 hours, and then we chill with the ducks, and then a horror game of my choosing. But if there was one thing that was to be by itself, it would be Fall Guys. And as for the 5 years on Twitch, it would most likely be a different game, or it would just be something that I would be playing with the buddies. The HGS Marathon. So, what you see on your screen, the active means that I will be live on that day, and chill day means that I will be having a self care day. Which it's on which I'm not gonna lie, it's a smart call to think about what days I'll be active on versus what days that I will be having a self-care day on. And whether or not if I'll be focused on other stuff in the background is a whole other question on its own. And these are the collaboration dates that are in my mind. Everything that's set as to be announced is a possibility, which I can neither confirm nor deny if it will happen, so it all depends. And Mecha Chameleon is my plan B for if we don't do Dead by Daylight, but Drunk Edition. So, July 16th, we are going to be collaborating with Punk Rock Nova, Sinister Slender, and Country Roses. And then July 25th, we are going to be playing some VRChat horror maps with the buddies. And then Five Nights at Freddy's with Blind Tech and Gabe the Deadfish as a segment for 24 hours together, part 2. And a to be announced collab for my birthday stream. Again, I can neither confirm nor deny. Lockdown, Lockdown Protocol, Chained Together, Liar's Bar, Mecha Chameleon, and Buckshot Roulette are the games that are in my mind. And Buckshot Roulette is being saved for last but not least, simply because I think that it would be a good idea to play that. Which, if you think about it, there are people that have the fear of guns, which is why that Buckshot Roulette is considered as a horror game. I would argue that it depends on people's phobias, which I just brought up the point of people being afraid of guns. And my camera is blocking it, but I can move this out of the way really quick. All things nerdy podcast episodes during the time period. That is what is being displayed here. FT means there would be a collab. So, casual episode means that there is entertainment industry news that we would be covering. And if not, then it would be an activity episode. So, it all depends on how things go down. July 25th, we are going to be collaborating with AMV God, then 42 is going to be with Low Adventures, then Demon Lore Tank, then Cobalt Puppy. But as for everyone else who is on display, Arthurian Legend and Icy Lights, I can neither confirm nor deny if it will happen, so it all depends on circumstances. And episode 41 is not on display, but it is going to be a casual episode, which it was confirmed in the Buddy server that B is going to be having its final episode as a host. So I would say wait until August 8th to figure out who the new host is going to be. Buddy streams, with the exception of this July. From 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I would be playing Dungeons and Dragons with my homies from the group, which I'm not gonna lie, it's a fun time whenever we play Dungeons and Dragons. August 13th, we're going to be playing Rocket League, and then September 5th, Banana Shooter, and then October 30th, we are going to be playing Repo. And here's the fun part about it, they were all community voted for. Same case with half of Horror Game Season Cinema, but here's the fun part about it. There would, given the fact that there's 4 films, the there's one half that I would plan out, and then let the second half be community voted for. Which so far, Alien and The Exorcist is planned for next year. But as for what else is in the thought process, Sleepy Hollow might be in the lineup, which I can neither confirm nor deny. So it depends on community votes, which I'm going to do the same thing that I did last year to where I announce what is planned for the lineup. Stream goals for 2026. At least 2 to 7 collabs. The All Things Nerdy podcast counts if it's during that time period. Dress up for Halloween on the final marathon day and wear a bloody maid dress. The bloody maid dress, there's no particular reason on why I wanted to do that. And as for the dress up for Halloween on the final marathon day, it just basically means that I would wear my Halloween costume on the final day, and then you'll see it again on my posts on my social media. And to close things out, a fun fact. Depending on how many people show up for this year's event, I plan on giving everyone shoutouts at the style of movie credits at the end of this year's horror game season. If you buy merch, that counts too. Regardless, if you watch my content on YouTube and or Twitch, thank you for supporting this event. It's been a dream of mine since I was 10, which I started at the age of 16 to be a full-time content creator. Even if I let my writing for Mindstorm Creations Media be its own thing. Yes, it is made by me, but I want the art to be its own thing. I still appreciate the support from my community as well as the friends that were made along the way. So, if you ask me, that is wholesome closing thoughts. And with that, that is all that I would like to get out of the way. And once again, if you would like to tune into some horror streams, I stream on youtube.com/Zamaroni and on twitch.tv/Zamaroni_YT. But I will say this once again, it is contained for those who are 18 and over, so if you are a minor, please do not watch my streams. Other than that, that's all that I would like to get out of the way. See you all around, and thank you for taking the time to hear me out.